Hello, welcome to Living Well Today. And as your host and creator of Living Well Today, I thank you for being here. And we're exploring, whether you watch this live or on replay, you are likely a leader in your household, a leader in your community, and maybe a leader in your business or at work with a particular project. And this is a continuation of last week's episode. So today is 75, which is hard to believe. And it's a part of our Drop the Mask series. I decided I wanted to look more closely. I'm retooling and refreshing my Mindful Leader program. And so everything kind of just integrates and works together, right? And so through that process of soul searching myself around how my leadership has evolved in different ways, become more vulnerable, come as you are, that's vulnerability. So this whole Drop the Mask series is exactly about that. It's exploring the ways in which, as leaders, we can put down our presupposed mask personas, the things that we may use to show up at work or in our community, in our home, as means of protection, to guard us, to keep a barrier between us and the rest of the world, and how to potentially drop that, why you would want to drop that, what are the benefits when you do, and how will others respond to that. So today we're talking about the role of vulnerability in leadership. And we'll discuss, perfectionism, which is, we've got a whole show dedicated next week to perfectionism and perfectionism as a trap. But when, I've read, as you may have as well, Brene Brown's work on vulnerability, and that was really kind of her cog in the wheel. That was her premise for everything, really, in the very beginning, and how much research she's put into it. And I'm going to read a quote from her. She said, "Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome." So that right there sets the tone for what we're about to talk about. And we need to start with this truth that has been deeply understood, especially in leadership. And that is somehow that vulnerability is weakness. And it's not weakness. We live in a world that often teaches us to armor up, to not show the real us, to not show the chinks in the armor, especially when we take on leadership roles and when others are looking to us for answers. We don't want to be seen as weak, not having the answer, vulnerable. What we're told to do is to be strong, to be confident, to be certain. But there's a way that you can do that without sacrificing your authenticity and your vulnerability. And we're going to talk about why it's so important. The vulnerability aspect of this is that people will lean in longer. They'll listen more intently. They'll share more openly if they feel that they are in a safe space. And the only way for that safety to be present is for you to be open and for you to be real and for you to be vulnerable and to create that acceptance and lack of judgment around powering up and having all of the answers and being perfect all the time. Real strength is not about being invincible. Invincible and bulletproof aren't a thing anyway. They're fallacies. It's about being honest enough to say, I don't have all of the answers. I don't know. I need help on this. I need someone else's input. I made a mistake. And it's something as simple as an email was sent out to a team that I work with that we're doing an envisioning session for here in a couple of weeks. And I put the content of the email together, and I originally had it, we were doing it a particular day, and you get stuck in a in a pattern, and I thought it was the Tuesday and not Wednesday. So just something as simple as that. And as soon as I got back from the client, hey, I said that, I wasn't free on this morning. I have interviews. I sent it, routed it to everyone. And I said, that's on me. I said, my apologies. I had the day wrong. I made a mistake. Here's the correct day. That's a little thing. But even the little things sometimes, I have found this. Have you found this to be true? That someone holding themselves accountable and saying, I made a mistake, even a little one, is so hard for some people. It's really difficult. And the thing is that on the other side of that mistake is generally acceptance and understanding and empathy. It's us who are building these walls, you see. And 9 times out of 10 that are wholly unnecessary. I am feeling unsure about X, Y, or Z. I'm not certain. I don't know how I feel about that. I need some time. All of those things are showing a measure of vulnerability. All right. And it's so important. When we think about the leaders who inspire us most, they're not the ones who were untouchable or seemed untouchable. No one is untouchable. But they seemed untouchable, or they tried to convey this distance or untouchability, this imperviousness. And whether you can articulate it or not, you felt that shell or that wall or that coldness or distance, unapproachable, insensitive. There's all sorts of words that will come out after employee exit interviews, right? The leaders who inspire us the most are the ones who made us feel seen and heard and valued, appreciated. And that doesn't happen through perfection. It happens through vulnerability, openness, and honesty, and transparency. So why does vulnerability matter then in leadership? And this, again, is when we think of leaders, we often think of CEOs, vice presidents, senior vice presidents, CFOs, CMOs, you name it. But there is a leader. We talked about this last week. There's a leader in every household. There's a leader or multiple leaders in every community or nonprofit or wherever, at my volunteer group, school project. And so if you are a leader, the need for vulnerability is like saying, I don't need to be vulnerable. Then what you're saying is I don't need to be trusted. And that's not true. So vulnerability is trust. It's the ultimate form of trust. And when a leader is willing to be that and willing to be real, it sends a signal that is undeniable. And that signal is, this is a safe place. It's a place where it's safe to be human, and it's safe to show up as you with all that you have. The expectation is, I want everything that you have to give from an energy and commitment and focus standpoint. I want your very best. Yes. And the company deserves your very best. And you deserve to give your very best every day. Even if your very best that day might be 70%. We've talked about this before, because we all have days that are less than 100%, but it's 100% of what you have available to you. It's a sincere intention to show up with whatever you've got today. And then that has to be enough for today. If it isn't, then you simply say vulnerably, I don't feel well, or I did not sleep well last night. Just give me a few minutes and let me think on this, or let me go find the answer. Teams that trust their leader innovate more. When there is more trust and trustworthiness, there's more innovation, because innovation is all based on newness, ideas, risk, being vulnerable, putting forth something, giving birth to something, letting it see the light of the day for the first time. requires vulnerability and a tremendous amount of trust. And the more you foster that trust and vulnerability, the better the team communicates. You will get the full answer, and you'll get it a lot quicker than someone who's trying to hide or ignore that a fire is there or run away because they're worried about trouble. They're worried about it not being a safe space that they can admit that they don't know something or that they were in error. So those who trust, they take healthier. Now, I mean, we all have to be mindful about the risks that we take and risk and reward and weigh the benefits, sure. And I certainly myself have taken certain risks sometimes that I maybe shouldn't have taken. But they're all part of me. They're all part of the plan. And sometimes I took a risk on X, Y, or Z, and sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't mean I'll stop taking risks. Risks are necessary. Otherwise, nothing ever, you stay stuck where you are and you're not realizing your potentiality, right? So communication, innovation, and creativity, all of those things will be more readily available to you and your team and your family and your neighbors and community if you show up that way. You want someone to be honest and open with you about what's going on? You need to be that way. It's a two-way street. Yeah. So your team or those who look to you for inspiration and leadership, they know that mistakes aren't punitive. They're not punishable offenses. And I mean, have you ever worked in a place where you were scared to make a mistake? I have at a time when I was much younger and I was codependent on how others judged me and my work, etc. Now we all want to do well and we all want to be appreciated but we have to do the work for the sake of the work and trust that the work is enough. And that's a level of vulnerability also, because that vulnerability, it builds a connection that you can't get any other way. You can't get it through impervious walls. It just can't happen. So if you want a higher level of connection, even within, certainly begins first within yourself. That's why I did the Mindful Leader program, is to walk with you and work with you and show you how to shape ways to be and consider being, to cultivate a mindfulness and a presence. And to have full force presence is to be vulnerable in a positive way, because you're saying, I'm not supposing anything. I'm not planning anything. I'm not protecting anything. I'm not sidestepping anything. I am here. I'm here with all my foibles and my good stuff too, right? So that the role of vulnerability in leadership is to create trust, is to create connection, profound connection. That's my word of the week this week, by the way. Profound. Not something normal, not every day, and the everyday is fine, but I'll save this for word of the week, but it's really vital that through this process we need more leaders, better leaders. We don't just need more leaders, we need better leaders. And it's vitally important to appreciate the profoundness of leadership, the profoundness of life, the profoundness of being granted this one wild ride of a life. And when you share your story, when you share, and one of the things in Mindful Leader is your origin story. It's like your signature story. Your who, your what, your why, your when, your where, your how, all of it wrapped into one profound story. That's your signature as a leader. And when you share your story, when you share your challenges and your struggles, your uncertainty, yes, when you share your uncertainty, you create a bridge between yourself and all of the people around you. First, between you and you, you and your higher self, and then you and all of the people around you. And I'm sorry, I just realized it because I'm starting to use this alcove now in my stand-up desk here that I love so much. But when I lean on it, I realize I shake my computer. I have to, I'm part Italian, so I'm very, very physical with my expression. It's just part of my DNA. When you stop leading from a pedestal up here to those down there, when you are elbow to elbow, locked arms, walking together in your full, whole, real, open self, that's when resilience is strengthened, trust is deepened, and new, I'm going to talk about emergence here in a minute, emergent insights and ideas as a team or a family, your resources really come to bear. When you are locked arms and you say, I stand with you, beside you, with all of my uncertainties, as well as my vision, as well as my hope, as well as my faith and my passion and confidence that we have the skills and the capabilities, all of us, principle, all of us are together are better. When I reinforce that with my team as a leader or with my clients, that I believe that it's important to show up as your whole full self and drop the mask of whatever persona, whatever pretending you think must go on in order for you to be accepted and valued and appreciated within the organization or within the family or with your constituents, if you're a politician, wherever it might be. If you're a salesperson at a car dealership, it doesn't matter. If you're a consultant at a car dealership, I don't know what they call them now, but you're still a car salesperson. You're selling modes of transportation to people, right? And ideally, you're doing it with integrity. You're helping that family realize a dream, realize efficiency and beauty and whatever it is that matters to them. You are leading them. You are a leader in their life at that time, you see, because they're relying upon you for input and insight and direction. Maybe some more than others, sure. Nonetheless, I know when I go into an automotive dealership, I want guidance. I want real and vulnerable and open and transparent guidance. I know for a fact that I don't always get it, but what a world it would be, and how much more car consultants would be viewed and trusted and viewed positively. Right now, I think on the trust spectrum, they're like next to last or last. Lawyers are in there. Insurance people are in there. Politicians, congressmen and women are definitely in there on the scale of mistrust, and car salespeople. So trust must come through transparency and vulnerability, not perfectionism, not what you think someone needs to see. What if they'll love you exactly as you are? And if you're showing up with the intention to find an answer, to build a better widget, if you are showing up with that intention and that passion and focus, they'll believe you. Because what's not to believe? And that integrity through patterns and consistency and the continuous sharing and vulnerability builds a whole new culture of wherewithal, a whole new culture of innovation and creativity, where creativity really can truly thrive. Because creativity has, well, I mean, how many studies have been done on this? Creativity, it has, all but disappeared in corporate America. In graphic design, there's more and more discussion about the level of creativity shrinking and everybody just kind of doing what they think they're supposed to do and what people expect to see, rather than really going into their own heart and mind and spirit and letting creativity flow through them as a channel, really connecting to that place, that higher consciousness. When you allow yourself to truly be seen, really be seen, even when the outcome, like Brene Brown said, when the outcome isn't certain, when it isn't guaranteed, and there are no guarantees. So you build, though, through that process, an internal muscle of strength and courage and commitment, and you therefore expand. You expand your capacity to lead from both strength and softness. Power, the new evolving power, and why you see so many power systems built on the old masculine power, so many of those systems decaying in front of our eyes, is because that's hard power. It's power through manipulation and lies and everything but vulnerability. It's power through control and brute force. And those things are dying out of necessity and being replaced with more of the divine feminine, which is soft power. Ruling through soft power. Ruling through commitment and compassion and empathy and patience and realness, authenticity, vulnerability. Because you are enough as you are. You don't have to pretend to be something that you aren't. You don't have to pretend to have all of the answers. You're more relatable and believable and trusted when you don't. So one final, we're almost at our time here. I'm trying to keep it shorter today. What does it look like? So what does vulnerability look like? Let's make it look practical, okay? It's not an oversharing and emotionally dumping on your team. It's not, throwing up on them. It's not about letting all of your insecurities lead the room, right? And rule the day. That's not what we're talking about. Who needs your insecurities? Nobody. What we're talking about is acknowledging an uncertainty. When someone says XYZ and your answer is, well, you know what? We don't have all the pieces yet, but we're working on it. Here's what we know so far. Okay. Does that sound insecure? No, because it's not. Admitting a mistake. I got that wrong. Here's what I'm learning from it. Or asking for help. I value your perspective. I want your input. Can you weigh in on this, please? Not having sharing humanity. It's been a tough week for me. I've had a tough week, personally. Some things going on personally. I've had a rough week. And I want to just say I appreciate your support. That's leadership. Vulnerability isn't the whole story, but it is the doorway. It is the opening through which leadership can begin to walk in more readily than it has in the past. It invites people around you to show up in the same way. not as perfect performers, but as full, capable, resilient human beings. I want to say that again. It invites other people when you show up that way, and you create space for people to be able to show up that way because you're showing up that way. It invites people to come to work or come to a family event or come to a project or something in your neighborhood or in your church. It invites them to come not as perfect performers, but as capable, resilient humans. Does that sound weak? Does that sound mamsy-pamsy? Does that sound woo-woo? Does that sound, think of all of the potential negative aspersions cast in the way of vulnerability when it comes to leadership. None of that sounds weak or negative to me. Is it to you? So if vulnerability feels scary to you, feels intimidating to you, well, number one, you're not alone. And I know I need to learn discernment between unloading my insecurities on someone else versus being open and vulnerable and sharing in a constructive way and not allowing insecurities to lead the room, to lead the conversation. Is it perfect all the time for me? For sure not. But I'm mindful of it. I am aware of it. So how do you begin this path of vulnerability? You start small, like anything. You start small. You don't have to bare your whole soul in the next meeting that you have, but you could choose a low stake moment. Like I did, like with that as an example, that email. It's on me, guys. Sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I got that screwed up. Own it right away and fix it. That's low stakes. Lead with curiosity. Lead with be curious. Ask more questions. Vulnerability actually often starts with listening and asking questions instead of giving answers, right? Check your intention. Why am I sharing to connect this just to offload it and to vent? Or am I being honest to service and open up this conversation of deeper trust and communication? So ask yourself, start small with something, not a lot of risk, and own up to it or be curious about it, lean in. Check your intention. Why am I going to share this? Why do I want to share this in this next meeting with this client as you think about how you want to walk your way through this next negotiation, whatever it might be? Why do I want to share it? And then stay grounded in service to others and the team. So I read a book probably 20, 25 years ago. I still have it. Influencing with Integrity. You can look it up. It's Jeannie Labordie, Labordie. And I think Jeannie is spelled Genie. It's spelled an unusual way. Jeannie Labordie, Influencing with Integrity. And that's like the car salesperson or the insurance salesperson, or when you're going to sell anything or a negotiation on anything. Do an integrity check. Am I doing this from a place of service, or am I doing it to get one up on somebody? One-upping somebody is done. Those days are done. I know it feels like it's still a competition out there, but I'm going to tell you that's why we have so much upheaval. Those days are done. And we are migrating and evolving into a state of cooperation where there's no reason why there has to be a loser. You're not smarter. You're certainly not a better human being because you beat somebody else. That's not the deal. The deal is, how do I help somebody else? See the difference? It's massive. I don't do these shows every week because I'm making some big financial gain from them, or because somehow it postures me. I have an earnest desire to have it translate financially for me. But for right now, and for the last 2 years nearly, it's okay where it is. It's okay. I understand, because I am learning and I am doing what I can do to be of service. Would I prefer it to expand? I do. I would prefer that. And I would like that. I'd love that. I also, at the same time, accept and adjust to what is. My word of the week last week was adjust, and how much peace can come to you when you just simply adjust and accept and not fight against and rail against, the night. So check your intention. Are you sharing your thing of vulnerability to manipulate someone else, to be passive aggressive, to dump on someone, vent it? Why are you doing it? Or are you doing it to deepen the trust, open the lines of communication, create and cultivate innovation and creativity, and earnest commitment that's honest and real? If that is your true desire, then you are influencing with integrity. You are walking in integrity. And you can put your head on the pillow at night and say, I did my day with integrity. And no, to me, integrity does not mean I'm going to go into this negotiation and beat the crap out of this person. That's just old news, guys. It's old news. You're asked as a human being to evolve beyond the warrior. Soft power. You can garner a similar or maybe even better result. There does not have to be a winner and a loser. My mentor once said to me, I wish everyone could just fly first class. And yeah, there does not have to be this separation. Why can't everyone just have a better life? Why isn't that okay? Why can't everyone have a better deal? There doesn't have to be someone wins, someone loses. Yeah, I just have never. I used to be very competitive. I did when we play a game or something like that. And I can be now. Ask my daughter. I play a game of Boggle. I'm competitive, not like, oh, I want to beat somebody else. I'm trying to be the best I can be. I want to see as many words as I possibly can. And it's fun for me to find the words. I'm a word geek. It's not, I got to get, in fact, is that sometimes when we go through and tally points, I actually feel a little bit bad, and sometimes don't count some of my points, because for me, it's not, I got to win the game. I just want to have fun. It's the same thing out on the golf course. Now, I understand there are athletes, and part of sports, its very nature is the competition and the thrill of the win, and there's a winner and there's a loser, a victor and a victim, and I get all of that. That's sports. Business is not sports, although many business leaders come from that background or thrive in that arena, and so all they understand is competition. Now, I'm not saying that competition is bad. I want to put that out there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, are you an empathetic competitor? It's okay to win. I'm not saying there has to be no winning at all. I'm not the everybody gets a trophy no matter how well they do, because the person could have barely even shown up and given their all. But if that person is showing up with their heart, they're coming to work, and their 100% is not good enough for you or your company, then you owe them that conversation to say, I don't think that you're in the right role. But it doesn't make them a weak or bad person or a weak or bad employee. What if they're in the wrong role? I have heard this over and over and over again from business owners over the years, of when they moved someone into a different role, how that person thrived. But they weren't worth, in their eyes, they weren't worth the money they were paying them in that particular role because they weren't doing a good job at the role. But when they moved them over here, tapped into a different set of capabilities, they were a rock star. Be vulnerable. Be open to having those kinds of conversations and breathe through the discomfort. When you get started with vulnerability, there are going to be times you're going to be, boy, I got to take a deep breath on this one. Boy, this feels really unfamiliar, and this is a whole new set of tools, and I don't know, I'm probably going to bumble it. Maybe I'm going to sound like an idiot. Maybe all that self-talk, all the things that go through your mind. And it might be uncomfortable, just like meditation or anything, acupuncture, anything. There was a day when chiropractors were considered woo-woo, right? Craziness. And they're they offer a vital service. So things evolve. Just breathe through the discomfort. It's okay. It's normal. Anything new. Breathe into it. Name it. So it's something say, what am I feeling? Why? Understand. And then you can better understand it. If you can't name it, you can't get real with it, then you can't change it. You can't evolve it. So you name it, you breathe, you move forward anyway, even if you're in totally uncharted territory. You do it all the time as a leader in other ways. Vulnerability is the same thing. So as we close, sorry, we're a little long again today. Last week was a little long too. Where is one place in your leadership? You can say this to yourself. Where's the one place in my leadership that I could bring more vulnerability, even just a little bit this week, today? What mask could I set down? The tough guy, the tough woman, the bulletproof, strong, the certain, what mask could you take off and set down, even for a minute, and allow more of your real face to shine through? And as you do it bit by bit, just like anything, you'll become more comfortable with it. True leadership doesn't require us to be flawless at this either. It asks us to be faithful. Faithful in ourselves, faithful to our teams, our families, our communities, faithful to presence. I am faithful to connection, to the messy, beautiful reality of being a human, to all of those things. So I wish you good fortune and blessings in your discovery of your own full, whole self, and become more aware and conscious of the masks and the personas that you put on for whatever reason, in whatever spaces you travel into. And next week, we'll continue this with one more, drop the mask, the perfectionism trap. So visit my website. I am getting a brand new website, which I'm excited about. Should be more user-friendly and hopefully be accurate in processing orders and things like that. The software is a lot friendlier to use. So, and you can visit me, of course, on YouTube and TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all of those platforms. Say hello to me on LinkedIn. I always look forward to your emails and comments, bloom@angelanoonan.com. And until next week, friends, I wish you all the best for living well today.